What's up, gamers? Coops here. Welcome to the video. Thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you. We got a couple of invasions that we're going to take a look at. This is Cousin Coldblood. He's a level 60 invader, and he's part of the family. It's a player-made covenant, and so he's got his own origin story and everything. And he's red invader. I don't always have red invaders, but Cousin Coldblood, he is certainly one of them. I want to talk a little bit about revenge today, because that's what's going to happen in the video. We're going to have an invasion, which has been ongoing in the background here. We've got a host, we got their phantom, and they're using the Taunter's Tongue, which I appreciate. So we can have an ally come in here and there, and simply because we have an ally doesn't mean that they're going to be a positive benefit or impact to our situation as an invader. If I could pass on anything, above all, to aspiring invaders or invaders who would like to improve or maybe have a higher success rate in their invasions, it would definitely be to prioritize leveling your vigor. It's the most important stat, and oftentimes, especially at lower levels, it's going to do way more for you than having a couple of extra points into dexterity or faith. So take that as you will. But we could see that we just lost that invasion. We tried really hard, but sometimes it just doesn't go our way. However, we've been given a second wind. We've been given another go, and we can come back and we can try again. And I really appreciate when this sort of opportunity presents itself, because it doesn't always happen. I'm not somebody who goes to certain locations and invades in that specific area. I just kind of go to my site of grace and I just invade the whole map, right? And so if I invade the same folks again, then it happens, but I'm not necessarily searching for a rematch. But if it presents itself, I'm certainly gonna do my best to change the story, to rewrite the script of history, if you will. And so that's what this one's gonna be about a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about the Dueling shield, and I've mentioned it in probably my last 3 videos. I think have been 3 of the last 4 maybe have been featuring the Dueling shield. This is a really excellent weapon. I think they did a really great job with this one. It's a lot of fun to use. It's got a lot of versatility, which is something that I really look for as an invader, as I want to have a weapon that can do a lot of different things. And this weapon offers a really unique play style where you can kind of trade into attacks really successfully. And that's something that I like doing. I like calculating trades and seeing if, you know, the math that I did in my head kind of works out to my benefit, to say, okay, I can take that damage and I can dish out this much damage and it'll be a worthwhile trade. And the Dueling shield allows me to do that. However, there's a lot of risk that's involved with using the Dueling shield, because when you do an attack, whether it's a light attack or a heavy attack, your attack has block frames. And so if you get attacked during those block frames, it's going to drain a significant chunk of your stamina. It could even leave you in the guard broken state, which is no bueno. That's an absolute terrible thing to have happen to you as an invader, especially if there's 2 or 3 people around. Getting your stance broken and just standing there for a couple of seconds can really be the end of things for you. You can get stabbed in the front, you can get stabbed in the back, you could get blasted by a rocket from a mile away because you're just standing still. And so it's one of those weapons that I don't necessarily want to say it takes a lot of skill to use, because that might be overinflating it, but there's a risk and a reward to this weapon and to this playstyle that I've been really enjoying. And so check out the Dueling shield if you haven't already. But so talking about revenge, and one of the things that I've learned over my time invading is to kind of like leave that invasion behind you when it's finished. when it wraps up, when it concludes, regardless of the outcome, regardless of the tactics and the taunting, so maybe at the end of it you get teabagged, or maybe the enemy does a point down, whatever it might be, it's really important to kind of like leave that behind you. That's the, in my mind, the best way to move forward with your next invasion, because the next hosts and the next phantoms that you're going to come across, they aren't those people or those players that just did whatever just happened to you. You know, maybe you spawned in at Volcano Manor, you know, the little spot right before the fight with Rykard. It's just like a little tunnel. It's like a little tunnel with no space, and if you get summoned there as an invader and they got 3 people and they're just standing there and that's what they're doing, then it's like that sucks, you know. It's a no-win situation most times, and so you really just kind of like have to kind of cleanse the palate and move forward afterwards. Don't hold that sort of a contempt or that sort of grudge towards the next host and the next phantom, because they might just be, you know, two fun guys who are just playing through the game, and then you come in with all this kind of negative aggression and bad energy from your last invasion, and maybe you try to take it out on them when they didn't do anything wrong, you know. So think about that sometimes when it comes to our invasions, and so that, for me personally, sometimes when I finish an invasion, I'll do some tea bags, you know. It's not, is it the best way to celebrate? Maybe not, but I'm just over here mashing my thumbstick, and it looks funny, and it's just you know, it's just my way of kind of like dispelling that energy out and being able to refocus and move forward, and so that's how I handle it sometimes. Maybe it's not the best method of of getting out some of that frustration, but it works, you know. And more than anything, I think that it looks funny, and so I think that that's important too. It's like just having a little laugh at the end of an invasion when it goes your way, and that's what it's all about, is having fun at the end of the day. That's, I think, our main goal of playing video games should just be to have fun. I guess maybe not our main goal. You might have other goals, whatever it might be, but just remember that like it should be an enjoyable experience. So if you're not having fun, in my opinion, you're doing something wrong. With that said, there's also a lot of smack talk that can kind of happen in the community. I get sent messages from time to time of people who think that I am a connoisseur of hot dog water, I guess. I don't know. They say I drink hot dog water. I don't know what that means, but, you know, to each their own. They think that that's an insult, and I think it sounds delicious. No, I'm joking. But in all seriousness, sometimes there's like these hate mail messages that you'll get, and you could say, well, Coobs, you know, that's why I turn off my ability for random internet strangers to send me a message, and absolutely, like if that's what you've got to do for your own personal peace and your own mental well-being, is to just, you know, cut off that line of communication, if you will, with the other people that you're playing video games against, then by all means, more power to you. Not taking anything away from you for doing so. But on the flip side, I've had a lot of really positive encounters and really wholesome experiences because I have that line of communication open, and because other players also have that line of communication open. I ran into a player back in March, maybe, and they were just a solo host. We had our 1v1, you know, we're both drinking flasks, we're both healing up, we're trying to get the advantage over the other player, and they're just a solo host playing through the game with the Taunter's Tongue, and they happen to beat me. And so at the end of the invasion, you know, I send a message to them saying, hey, that was a really fun fight, best of luck out there, you know, just wishing them well. There it is. I think I just had my stance broken. If I didn't see that incorrectly, I think I kind of got opened up a little bit there. And so you can kind of see what I was talking about before. You got to be careful trading into attacks sometimes because it can kind of backfire on you. But anyways, so I send this message and, you know, just wish them well, and they say, hey, you're awesome, you know, keep doing your thing. And then very recently, I think just last week, ran into a solo host out in the Cerulean coast. We have this awesome fight, you know, a couple of minutes of us just going back and forth, and again, they get the advantage over me. They win the invasion, but I was like, dude, that was such an awesome exchange, such an awesome interaction. I'm gonna send this person a message saying, like, hey, awesome job, like, that was a lot of fun. And it ended up being that same person that I had messaged back in March. It's like months later, we're bumping into each other and realizing that, like, hey, wow, we've actually, our paths have crossed before, and it's all love. It's all, you know, just like support. It's all just good vibes. And I think that that's really something that, you know, you can find that sort of interaction elsewhere, but I think that it's really kind of common when it comes to this community in specific. You know, there's a lot of really wholesome people in the Souls community and the Elden Ring community, whether they love the game for the lore or for the art direction or the music or just the vibe or the difficulty or the fact that they can play with their friends or the invasion mechanic. Like, there's so many different avenues of people who love this game. We have such a common ground when it comes to this game, and so that's something that I personally have been really fond of experiencing, is these sort of wholesome interactions and exchanges and connections that can kind of be made because of our shared interests and the fact that we all love Elden Ring and that we love Souls games. So something to consider, maybe if you've shut off that line of communication before because you've gotten some mean or nasty messages after an invasion, or maybe after just doing some jolly cooperation and the invader is the one who messages you, you know, telling you that you're trash or whatever it might be. And so you're like, hey, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I'm just going to make my messages private. It's like, hey, well, you know, maybe maybe we're missing out on something by doing so. So just something to think about. But tying it back around, get that revenge, gamers, because you're good enough to earn it. And that's what happened here. Cousin Coldblood, on his revenge tour, were able to take down that phantom, applying pressure. The other invader didn't really help us out too much, but they bought us a window of opportunity, and that's all Cousin Coldblood needs. Thanks so much for being here. I have been and always will be Coobs. Peace and love, gamers.